In this video, I'm going to show you why waiting to eventually get in shape is costing you years of your life so you can stop spinning your wheels and finally get the body, the energy, and the goals that you honestly deserve. Welcome guys, my name is Andres Ayesta. I'm a registered dietitian and I'm the founder of Planet Nutrition. I help high-performing men and some women over 30 lose fat, build muscle, and regain their energy without sacrificing their careers, their family time. I'm a dad myself, so I like to teach this stuff because I also live it and breathe it. I work with professional athletes across every major sports league, CEOs of multi-million-dollar companies, and over 700 people have gone through our programs. And I don't say that to impress you, but to impress upon you, so you also know that I have a couple of things to say about this stuff. I've gone through this process many times, and the reality is that if you want to stop waiting for someday and you want to start seeing real results right now, make sure you hit subscribe right now to this channel, hit that bell icon so you're not missing anything of what I post. Sometimes I'm kind of irregular here, but I try to give you some really good content and good values so you walk away with specifics on what to do and applicable things that you can implement into your life. Now, let's dive in. Most successful people, or particularly the guys that I work with in their 30s, 40s, and even 50s, believe that they should be able to do this stuff on their own. And a lot of them are able to do that. And the reality or the belief that they have is that they're going to get there. I get that. That makes sense because you're capable, you're intelligent, you're probably pretty driven, pretty goal-oriented, and you figured out hard things before. I mean, you built a career after all. You solved complex problems, I'm sure. So why is it that this is so difficult for you? Here's the problem with that belief. When you believe eventually is good enough, you tolerate slow progress in this area because you tell yourself you're moving in the right direction. I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. You normalize inconsistency because life keeps getting in the way, and that just simply becomes the normal. You accept resets as part of the process because you think that's just how it works. And you stay in motion without momentum because you're always working on it, but you're not really getting anywhere. You're never failing, but you're never arriving either. Does that make sense? And because you're capable and you have all the intelligence and the drive and all these different things like that, you start to convince yourself, well, I'm close. I'm just going to time things up pretty soon. So eventually, right? This leads to a lot of frustration. I call it low-grade frustration that never resolves. Constant recalibration instead of clarity and the feeling that you always have to be in progress all the time. You do a lot of false starts, you start and stop, and progress then disappears when you reach a stressful moment in your life. And the reality is that you don't never have a body that stabilizes long enough to be able to adapt to the things that are required long term. And then internally, there's a quiet erosion of self-trust. The story that you're always one step behind your potential. From the financial perspective, you're spending years experimenting instead of months of executing. So essentially what you're doing is you're paying for delay with time, which is something you never get back, instead of dollars, which is something you do get back. Relationally, when you're thinking about the people around you, you're explaining why this is still a thing. And you're avoiding moments that require confidence now, not later. The best example I can give you is whenever you go when it's summertime and then you're afraid to take your shirt off because of the fact that you're just not really happy with the way you look. Here's the brutal truth. Eventually has no deadline. And without a deadline, absolutely nothing changes. That's because this belief is keeping you stuck. Now, there's a better way, and this is a truth that I have learned after coaching many clients and also the process that I've gone through myself. Getting there eventually is not a strategy. Predictable results require three things, or three components: guidance, structure, and accountability right now. Here's how this works. There's a guy that by the name, I actually had to look this up because I have been saying this quote. This guy's name is Robert Herjavec. And he said, a goal without a timeline is just a dream. I even had this imprinted on shirts back in the day. Now, saying that I'll get there eventually, it's like saying, I don't need a GPS. I'll find my own way. And you might be able to do that. A lot of people may be able to do that too. But you'll take wrong turns, you waste time, and you question yourself constantly. Does it make you a bad driver? It just simply gets you there faster with less stress. Every person who finally succeeds says the same thing in hindsight. I wish I had done this sooner. No one ever says, oh, I'm glad I waited until things got harder. No, time never makes healthy easier. Your metabolism doesn't improve with age. Your recovery doesn't get faster. Your schedule doesn't get less busy. Waiting isn't neutral. It's actually costing you a lot. So it's expensive. Let me tell you a story here. Back in 2015, I started my own business, this thing right here. At the time, I was broke, mentally and literally. I told myself the same thing a lot of people tell themselves. I'm going to figure this out on my own. Eventually, I'll get where I need to go. And this belief cost me 4 years. 4 years of frustration, 4 years of spinning my own wheels, 4 years of thinking I was close, 4 years of lost revenue. And eventually, reality caught up to me because I had to get a job just to pay my bills. And that's when it finally hit me. Waiting wasn't just a noble thing that I was after. Doing it alone wasn't really a strength. Eventually, it wasn't really a plan. So I made the hardest decision at the time, which is I hired a mentor. And it scared the hell out of me to invest that kind of money. But that decision changed everything for me to this day. And for the first time, I had someone who, number one, had already walked the path. Number two, they could see what I couldn't see. I call that the blind spots. Number three, they held me accountable to a system, not just ideas. And what I noticed when this happens is progress stopped being random. And from that moment, everything switched and changed. That single decision in my life is the reason I'm here today talking to you guys, running a successful nutrition coaching business to this day. My only regret is not doing it sooner, because if I had kept waiting for it, eventually I wouldn't be here. And if I had started earlier, I wouldn't gotten here a lot faster. I see this all the time with the people I work with. TJ is a good example. He's been trying to do this on his own for years. He wasn't lazy. He wasn't clueless. He's actually pretty smart, and he knew what to do. He was consuming tons of great content, including mine. He tried a bunch of free stuff, and he tried to piece things together, but he was running in circles. Lots of effort, lots of starts, very little progress. Finally, he decided to stop guessing, and obviously he made an investment to work with me. So we started working together. And in 2 months, TJ accomplished what he couldn't do on his own in 2 years. Physically, mentally, relationally, everything. Not just weight loss. He gained a new identity, calm control around food, freedom around exercise, although that took a little bit longer, confidence that didn't disappear the moment life got busy. And that decision changed the trajectory of his health, the way that my decision to hire somebody to help me changed mine. Same guy, same effort. The difference was structure, guidance, and accountability. And I'm not just saying this to say this. There's evidence to support it. I love to look at the research behind this stuff because I believe in science, unlike many people in this political climate. There's a systematic review and meta-analysis, which if you don't know what that is like the compendium of a bunch of research, randomized controlled trials, which is the best and most stronger form of evidence. And they're looking at self-help weight loss interventions, which essentially is just weight loss programs. They were looking at largely self-directed programs with minimal professional contact. So these are just basically diet programs. And it found that self-help approaches produce modest weight loss at around 6 months. But the effects were not clearly sustained at 12 months across a smaller set of longer follow-ups, which means a lot of the people, when they ask him 12 months later, hey, like that diet that you do, on your own, like were you able to sustain the weight? And a lot of them didn't do it or didn't accomplish it. Now, when we're looking at randomized controlled trials and we're comparing a self-help approach, which is again, maybe brief counseling, some materials, again, here's a diet program, here's how to do it, versus a structured program, we're going to maybe consider Weight Watchers, which is again, like a good model to compare it to. The structured program, which included constant meetings and different things like that, achieved substantially greater weight loss at 26 weeks by a crazy difference. For example, a self-directed program, people achieve 4.8 kilograms, which is about 10 pounds weight loss. Substantially greater weight loss at 26 weeks. The difference were insane. One group actually gained weight and the other one actually lost. Separately, a meta-analysis looking at apps and coaching found that when you add coaching to self-monitoring apps, improve weight loss by about 2.15 kilograms, which is about 5 pounds, compared with just the app and self-monitoring approaches without the coaching layer. I mean, how many times have you just downloaded an app and followed something because he told you to? How many times are you now using ChatGPT to coach yourself? I'm not saying that that's wrong, but you need to ask yourself if you're getting to your goals by doing that approach. Most people can start on their own. You probably have done that millions of times. The problem is sustaining the results. The research consistently shows that structure plus feedback plus human support tends to outperform is, here's the info, good luck. Not only is this important on weight loss, in all other areas of your life. I'm super obsessed with goal setting and goal achievement and the science behind it. And one of the most direct goal achievement accountability data sets, which again is just a group of data, it comes from this doctor. Her name is her or him, I don't know, Gail Matthews. And they did a lot of goal setting research in California. There's a university there called Dominican University. In this study, People who kept goals to themselves, they reported success or progress at roughly 35 to 43%. Now, when people wrote their goals down and they also share them and also they send weekly updates, let's call them weekly check-ins to someone else, reported success or progress, it rose to roughly 70 to 76%. This is insane. The game changer isn't more motivation. It's externalizing the goal, write it, and then closing the loop every single week, which is reporting, checking in, being held accountable. That's basically coaching in its simplest ways. When we look at our most successful clients, over 75% of our biggest success stories come from those who engaged in our programs and were accountable every single week to what needed to be done. This reinforces the importance of building a framework or a system that is repeatable and it's something that's simple for you to do. The clients that we've had, because we've had them who say, oh, I'm just going to do this on my own first and I'll get help if I need it, or like I'll check in whenever I need to, they almost never come back. Because by the time they realize that they need help, they left another year and their confidence lowers and the problem feels bigger. And now they feel kind of ashamed of the fact that, yeah, this was the problem. You don't just say, I should be able to figure out taxes on my own eventually. No, even if you could, you don't, because, well, mistakes are expensive, blind spots are invisible. One wrong move can cost you years. So what do? You hire an expert because the cost of being wrong is higher than the cost of getting the help. Health works exactly the same way. Most people think asking for help is a sign of weakness, but what if it's actually a sign of wisdom and strength? What if the strongest move you can make is admitting that you don't have all the answers and bringing in someone who does? It's actually a good step forward, because when you stop trusting eventually and you start trusting structure and are held accountable to follow that structure, you know exactly what matters that week, and progress becomes something that you can measure. It's not just something emotional. And what happens is you stop wondering if you're on track. Your confidence grows because results now are visible, and this obviously adds more fuel to the fire to continue. Health stops being an open loop in your life, and you move from hoping it works to knowing this is working and I know why. Don't take my word for it. I've coached lots of clients for over 12 years as a registered dietitian. I work with pro athletes in the NFL, NBA, MLB, NHL, and I've helped CEOs in high performance who have zero time to waste on things that don't work. And the pattern is always the same. I said it earlier. I'm not trying to impress you, but impress upon you on the things that a lot of these people had in common. The guys who commit to structure, to guidance, and accountability get results in weeks and months. The guys who keep trying to figure out on their own stay stuck for years. It's not about intelligence, it's about capability. It's about having someone who can see your blind spots, hold you accountable when your motivation fades, and adjust your plan based on real-time feedback. Tom, he's a VP of sales. He's a good example of this. This is why I'm bringing him up. Super successful guy. For years did things on his own. He tried a bunch of experiments and fats, keto and everything else. He got really good short-term results, but they were never sustained over time. And that's actually when he came to me. The one change we made is we set a goal, we created a plan to achieve it, we had a system to follow, and we had the accountability to stick to the same process. Here was the result. He went from eating mostly fat, fearful of carbs, to crushing his workouts and his body composition. I mean, look at these images. Even years after we stopped our work together, he sent me this text message saying, look, I don't need you right now because I was just simply wondering if you needed a little bit of extra help. Trying to get the business back, right? You know what I mean? This stuff works because it's based on a principle that structure beats willpower. Accountability is always better than motivation, and guidance is always better than guessing every single time. So listen closely. If you're tired of waiting for eventually, and you're ready to finally get real results, here's what I want you to do next. Number one, subscribe to this channel. Make sure you hit that bell icon so you don't miss anything from me. I break stuff down like this all the time. The systems, I kind of talk about the ins and outs of nutrition so you can create predictable results in this process. I'm hugely systems focused. Second, if you are ready to stop guessing and you want something for you and you're like, okay, good, I already subscribed, I got everything I need from you. How do I do this with you? I need a coach, I need a mentor. I offer something for free at no extra cost to you. It's essentially a personalized plan. We get in a conversation. We call it a free strategy call. What we do in that conversation is I try to map things out for you. I'm not there to sell you, to be honest. I just want to help you see the blind spot that you're not seeing. And if we see them together and you're like, okay, that makes sense. And you're like, I want to fix them on my own. Sure. A lot of times that works. A lot of times it doesn't. But ultimately, what we're going to do is try to figure out exactly what you're being stuck. And we're going to design a game plan to get you unstuck. Pretty simple. Even if you don't work with me. There's absolutely no commitment required, and it's going to be super helpful for you to understand what your goals are, what your obstacles are, and design that game plan for you. The link is in the description box below. So make sure you go in there, fill out a short application, find a time, and you'll be booked into my calendar or one of my team members. Third, if you found this valuable, I would love for you to drop a comment below and tell me if this stuff resonated with you. How long have you been waiting for eventually? Share it, because I think this is helpful for us to build community and to know like what's been holding you back. I read every comment, and I'm gonna do my best to be able to help you or at least reply back to you in any type of case. Remember, every successful person you admire got help at some point. They found the right guide, they committed to the process, they took action. The only question you need to ask yourself is, how much longer are you willing to wait? Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you guys on the next one.